This is going to be a three-part video series. In this first part, I'm going to cover about why balance sheet, what is the importance of balance sheet, and everything revolving around balance sheet, along with an example of Adani Enterprises. Let's get started with this video. Chapter number 1, which is why balance sheet. So you will see that in financial world, there are three financial statements. ये आपको definitely मालूम है, so I'm not going to go into the details of that, which is balance sheet, profit and loss statement, and cash flow statement. ये तो financial statements है, but you should not be studying balance sheet because it is one of the financial statement. The reason that you should be investigating and studying a balance sheet is because that's a way, and that's the only way by which the founder, the director of the company in which you plan to invest, has an option to communicate with you, to message you what is the current health position of that company. In addition, in your regular life, you will certainly come across many news articles which talks about balance sheet, such as you can see over here, Vedanta chairman talking about balance sheet. They are having a strong, healthy balance sheet. Adani Group, they are talking about balance sheet. Kishore Biani from Big Bazaar talking about not having a strong balance sheet. Many media news houses talking about balance sheet and the government's debt in relation with the balance sheet, by way of which you can know the financial position of any entity, be it company or be it even government. So that's why understanding and interpreting balance sheet becomes very important. Now let's go into the chapter 2, which is what is balance sheet. Balance sheet gives you the information of what is the current position of that company. It can never tell you what is a likely trend or what is the future trend of that company would look like. So imagine that if you're investing in a company, the only way for the director or the founders to tell you about that company's position is of balance sheet. And if you have to invest, you will definitely ask for कि बॉस तुम्हारे कंपनी का currently status क्या है, as of now, as of this month when I'm watching this video, what is the position of your company? That's what is revealed inside this balance sheet. This is point number 1. Now there are two more concepts before we go into the details of balance sheet, and I want you to understand them first. And before that, आपने अगर पेपर एंड पेन नहीं लिया है, देन मेक श्योर दैट यू टेक अ पेपर एंड पेन, बिकॉज इन माई एवरी वीडियो आई एम्फसाइज दैट मेरे वीडियो कोई भी न्यूज़ या फिर मीडिया इन्फॉर्मेशन पे नहीं है विच विल जस्ट फ्लैश एंड गो अवे. आई वॉन्ट यू टू टेक अवे सम लर्निंग इन ईच एंड एवरी वीडियो ऑफ माइंड. So there are two concepts, which is standalone and consolidated financial statement or consolidated balance sheet. So इसको अगर हम दो पार्ट में डिवाइड करेंगे, one is a standalone financial statement और standalone balance sheet. Now what does standalone means? कि मान लीजिए अडानी एंटरप्राइजेस के पास एक 20 कंपनीज है विच आर मैनेज्ड अंडर द अडानी एंटरप्राइजेस एज अ ग्रुप. सो उन 20 कंपनीज का इंडिविजुअल फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट इज कॉल्ड एज स्टैंड अलोन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट या फिर स्टैंड अलोन बैलेंस शीट. लाइकवाइज अगर इन 20 कंपनीज को क्लब करके एक ग्रुप कंपनी फॉर्म किए और उस ग्रुप कंपनी लेवल पे इन सब का कलेक्टिवली जब हम फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट देखते हैं तो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ कंसोलिडेटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, कंसोलिडेटेड बैलेंस शीट. सेकेंड की कॉन्सेप्ट है यहाँ पे क्लोजिंग बैलेंसेस का. बैलेंस शीट में जो भी बैलेंसेस आप देखोगे, सो इंडिया में देयर इज अ फाइनेंशियल ईयर विच बिगिंस फ्रॉम 1st of April अंटिल 31st of March नेक्स्ट ईयर. इन 12 मंथ्स में जो भी बिजनेस के ट्रांजैक्शंस और एक्टिविटी होने हैं, रात के 12 बजे तक 31st of March तक जो भी बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज ट्रांजैक्शंस कंडक्ट हुई है, उन सब के बैलेंसेस, कैश आना है, किसी को पे करना है, किसी से कैश आना है कस्टमर से, सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस क्लोज होने के बाद में जब भी ये सब बैलेंसेस क्लोज हो जाते हैं 31st of March तक, नेक्स्ट डे पे बैलेंस शीट बनाया जाता है. सो सारे पीरियड, सारी एक्टिविटीज, सारे फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शंस व्हेन दे क्लोज, दैट्स व्हाट इज बीइंग कंसीडर्ड इनसाइड अ बैलेंस शीट. सो बैलेंस शीट में जो भी आप नंबर्स अभी आने वाले वीडियो में देखोगे, दैट गिव्स यू अ क्लोजिंग बैलेंस्ड नंबर. नाउ लेट्स गो इनसाइड बैलेंस शीट. Now balance sheet में there are 4 key sections. First section is of asset side, which has a non-current asset and a current asset. Likewise, on the liability side, you will see 2 sections, which is non-current liabilities and current liabilities. If you look at the structure of the balance sheet at a broader level, this is how it would look like. You have 2 sections, assets and liabilities. Just as a recap, quick recap, there are 4 sections within that, which is the current asset section, then a non-current asset section within asset part, and within liabilities, you have a current liability and non-current liability. There is also a 5th section on the liability side, which is the equity section, and we will go into the details of each of these sections now, starting with current asset. Starting on the first part, we will cover the current asset section. So what we are going to do in this video is we are going to cover only this first section, which is of current asset section, and we are going to go into the details of that because I want you to focus on the quality, not on the quantity of the material. So let's understand only on the current asset section and let's learn it forever. Here is how the Adani Enterprises balance sheet look like. And again, this is an official data released by Adani Enterprises themselves on NSE. You can go and take a look over there. So looking at over here, within that balance sheet, what we are going to cover in this part is the current asset side. Now within current asset, there are multiple small elements that we need to understand. There is a different way in which current assets are actually organized. So I'll simplify that for you. The first thing that we will understand is cash and cash equivalent. Now, what is the definition of cash and cash equivalent? Simple. It simply means that any bank balances that Adani Enterprises is currently holding in their bank account, that's what is represented as a cash, the hard money, the actual money which is there in the bank account. And what is cash equivalent? Anything which is equivalent to cash. So imagine that Adani Enterprises, instead of holding as a cash, they want to earn some small percentage of interest, some percentage profit on that cash. So instead of keeping it idle in the bank account, what they do is they invest in some kind of securities such as koi bonds ho gaya, koi treasury bills ho gaye, koi liquid funds ho gaya, jahan pe the duration is less than 90 days. So Adani Enterprises is currently having somewhere around 912 crore as a cash and cash equivalent. That's first part. What companies also do is, beyond holding a cash, they also tend to invest into some kind of mutual fund, some kind of securities. In financial world, it is called as marketable securities. Now, what is marketable securities? Consider that any stock, any mutual fund, any bonds, any treasury bills, any fund of funds, any kind of investments that you would do such that the duration of that investment is less than 1 year. We are referring to current asset section over here, which is of less than 1 year. That means every investment that Adani is currently having or holding under this current asset can be liquidated quickly within 1 year of time frame. So likewise, Adani Enterprises, you can see this investment over here. They are having an investment of 63 crore into such marketable securities. Let us go inside the details of this investment and understand where Adani Enterprises is currently investing this 63 crore. So in every balance sheet, you will find this notes section which gives the details about each and every element. So if I want to understand what is this investment, I will go inside the note of point number 12, which will detail about the investment. So let's go into the detail and see over here. So that's how the current investment is detailed. You can very well understand that Adani is investing in several mutual funds. What kind of funds? They are all overnight funds with a direct and a growth strategy. So in lump sum, it is investing in SBI Liquid, ICICI Overnight Fund, SBI Overnight Fund, units in Birla Sun Overnight Fund, units in Franklin India Ultra Fund. So likewise, making a total investment of 63 crore. That's an investment with a duration of less than 1 year. That's an important point to know, that any investment, any asset which you are holding less than 1 year falls under your current asset section. Then comes the trade receivable part over here. So if you see, Adani is currently having a trade receivable of somewhere around 13,712 crore. That's a big number to understand. Now, what is trade receivable? Trade receivable ka very simple definition is, if Adani Enterprises is selling some of the products to their clients, it is not going to ask for the payment very immediately. So Adani Enterprises के clients, they might pay after a couple of months, couple of days, depending upon the credit terms agreement with them. In simple शब्दों में, अगर कोई भी product या services आपकी खुद की कंपनी ने किसी कंपनी को provide किया, तो that company को आप कुछ provision दोगे, because if we as an individual, if go to a shop and we take or buy some product, हमें तो immediately pay करना पड़ता है. But because companies are involved in larger amount of transactions and of bigger amount and of high volume, they are often given some credit terms in order to some period, so that in which they can pay out. But उस period तक, for that moment, Adani Enterprises will account for some amount as a receivable. That means Adani Enterprises ने 13,712 करोड़ के products sell किए हैं उनके clients को. But they have not yet settled this money to Adani Enterprises. So that's money which Adani Enterprises is expecting from their clients to be paid in a near given term of 1 year is accounted as trade receivables over here. Now there is a section which gives the details about trade receivable, which is point number 13, and let's go inside this now. So if you see this over here of Adani Enterprises for trade receivable, they have categorized in two different sections, which is of impaired credit and considered goods. Now let's understand the first thing, which is the definition of unsecured and secured loan. So see, when you as an individual, when you go to a bank in order to buy any property or take a loan from them, you have to give your documents with them as a collateral in order to issue that loan to you. That's called as a secured way of giving you a loan. There is an unsecured way as well, especially in the case of personal loan. So when you take a personal loan from the same bank, पर्सनल लोन के अगेंस्ट कोई गारंटी नहीं देते आप बैंक को, सो बैंक ट्रीट्स दैट लोन एज अनसिक्योर्ड लोन. Likewise, in the similar format, when Adani Enterprises is selling the goods to their clients, that is unsecured. उसके अगेंस्ट कोई गारंटी नहीं दी है उन क्लाइंट्स ने that they are going to pay this 13,000 crore. That is a big risk to Adani Enterprises. Second is over here, unsecured credit impaired of 84 crore. Now, what does this mean? That any default that clients does, Adani Enterprises has created some allowance and some provision, so that उन्होंने एक provision करके रखा है that अगर कोई client ने pay नहीं किया है, so उसके against somewhere around 84 crore का provision करके रखा है. Now where is this provision money coming from? That is actually coming from the cash. So that's the first importance of cash as well to be held inside the business. Why? Because any such instances happen, you have that buffer of money to repay that and refill so that your balance sheet still remains healthy. Then comes the bank and bank balances over here. So these are something which is beyond the cash and cash equivalent, parked for some specific purposes. Let's understand what this amount is, because this amount is again big, which is of 3,000 crore. Let's go into the details of point 15 here. So if you see this over here for bank and bank balances, other than the cash deposits, what companies often do is companies park some funds in their bank account, but it is locked for some specific purposes. So imagine that Adani Enterprises wants to buy some machinery, some equipment, some materials from their different suppliers. The suppliers, they are international suppliers. They are going to say that, okay boss, we will give you the product and services that you want, but for that we want you to lock some funds for us. Give us some bank guarantee, and that's bank guarantee which is parked for 2,726 crore with the bank account, but with Adani Enterprises, but they are locked. Adani Enterprises cannot make use of these funds with them. Then these are some deposits. Over here is an earmarking amount. Now this is a very nice concept of earmarking that we need to understand. that earmarking का simple principle अगर हम personal life से मैं इसको relate करूँ, that you have parked some amount which is there in your bank account for some specific purpose, such as maybe travel, family trip, vacation, for a dining out, or for whatever it is, or you want to buy something online. For any of those specifically purposed tracking and parking your funds, that's a process called as earmarking in the business world. So Adani Enterprises has earmarked some amount, that's what it is telling, and that's the total amount which is residing in the bank balances. The next section over here is loan. How come a loan be a part of balance sheet? Yes, it is possible if the duration of the loan to be recovered is less than 1 year. So if you see this amount over here, which is of 1400 crore, and if you go into the details of this, you will find that loan is currently blocked for loans which are given to several employees or for some other causes, some other purposes loan, but in a way that it can be recovered within 1 year of time frame, because we are referring to the current asset section of the balance sheet. That's what this loan amount refers to. Then the next is the other financial assets. So this is also of a very high amount, 1,751 crore. Let's look into the note number 17 for this one. So this again details about all kind of assets which cannot be categorized under one specific category within that balance sheet. So any kind of fixed deposit, security deposits that the Adani Enterprises are currently having, any kind of interest which is accrued. So interest accrued का meaning क्या है? That any loan that Adani Enterprises has given to employees or anyone external parties or third parties, for them the interest which Adani Enterprises is supposed to collect from them, but they have not yet paid, but interests are accrued. That means 152 crore worth of interest are still to be earned and to be received in their bank account. That's an interest accrued. Then there is an unbilled receivable over here, unbilled revenue, so to say. So what does that mean? That any product or services which Adani Enterprises has already delivered or given or executed to their clients, but for which they have not yet sent an invoice to their client. उन्होंने अब तक bill नहीं दिया उनके clients को. That's an unbilled revenue. And then there are different sorts of assets which comes under this other current asset section. Then we have the other current asset over here. Now, considering this other current asset, understand that any assets which cannot be categorized in any of those financial assets segment are being put up inside this other current assets. So if you go into the details for this 3,261 crore, which is staying as an other current asset on Adani Enterprises balance sheet, we will see that you will see the details about each of them, such as the first one starting with prepaid expenses. Let's try to understand each of them pretty clear and in a very simplistic manner. Prepaid expenses. Now, what does prepaid expenses mean? Prepaid expenses, that means any expenses which company has done in the very beginning of the financial period, which have not been considered and recognized as an expense. एक सिंपल वे में समझिए दैट अडानी एंटरप्राइजेस ने एक ट्रक खरीदा इन ऑर्डर टू मैनेज इट्स सोलर ऑपरेशंस, शिपमेंट एंड लॉजिस्टिक्स के ऑपरेशंस के लिए. उस ट्रक की वैल्यू थी 10 लाख रुपीस. एक सिंपल एग्जांपल. अब अडानी एंटरप्राइजेस उस पूरे 10 लाख को इन द वेरी बिगिनिंग ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल ईयर एक्सपेंस नहीं बता सकती. अगर उन्होंने एक्सपेंस ऐसे बता दिए व्हेन दे स्टार्टेड देयर ऑपरेशंस, दैट मींस पहले कुछ महीनों में या फिर पहले कुछ सालों में अडानी एंटरप्राइजेस का प्रॉफिट टोटली जीरो हो जाएगा. सो एक अमोर्टाइजेशन और डेप्रिसिएशन का कॉन्सेप्ट आता है जहां पे कोई भी एक्सपेंसेस पहले ही पे कर दिए हैं, बट उसका जो रिकॉग्निशन होगा धीरे धीरे इसको प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस स्टेटमेंट में मूव करेंगे. दैट्स व्हाट इज ट्रीटेड एज अ प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस. सच एज कंपनीज पे फॉर इंश्योरेंस, दैट्स अ प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस. कंपनीज पे फॉर रेंट फॉर द एंटायर ईयर, दैट्स अ प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस. कंपनी ने कोई डिजिटल मार्केटिंग, सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग की सर्विसेज ली हुई है, बट उनके लिए उनको पूरी पेमेंट कर दी, बट gradually they are going to take the services and benefit from those services. That's categorized under prepaid expenses. So there is a prepaid expenses of 294 crore, somewhere around 300 crore. That's what is stating us over here. Then there are some balances with the government authorities which is there with the government. Then there are some services which is work in progress. कोई services की delivery वगैरह is ongoing. Then there is another current asset. There are advances as well which are recoverable. Now what is an advances in Adani's case over here is any advances which Adani is currently giving to their suppliers so that they will provide the goods and services over a period of time. So that means Adani has given an advance of 1624 crore to their suppliers as a prepayment. एक supplier को कुछ एक advances दे दिए with a commitment that they will deliver the goods and services. अब उसमें अडानी ने कुछ क्रेडिट इंपेयरमेंट, कोई सप्लायर डिफॉल्ट कर देता है क्योंकि उनके पास कोई कैश क्रंच आ गया, उसके बाद में कोई प्रोडक्ट का डैमेज हो गया, लाइक रिसेंटली वी हैड अ सेमीकंडक्टर शॉर्टेज. बिकॉज ऑफ दैट एनी डिफॉल्ट that would happen and that are likely to happen, Adani Enterprises will account for that as a credit impairment over here, और उसी के लिए ये allowance भी करके रखेंगे so that this allowance and this default and this credit impaired are more or less the same amount, so that वो एक provision करके रखा है कि हमने 1600 करोड़ यहाँ पे एडवांसेस दिए हुए हैं, बट आउट ऑफ दैट 8 करोड़ वी आर कीपिंग एज अ प्रोविजन दैट इसमें से 8 करोड़ हमारे पास शायद से में भी हमको गुड्स या सर्विसेज उसके अगेंस्ट ना मिले, पेमेंट भी ना मिले. This is a common practices in any business, and that's an amount corresponding to other current asset which is of 3,261 crore. And then in the end we have the inventory section which stays inside the current asset. So if you look into the details, there is an inventory of which is the highest amount of the entire element of entire section of current asset other than the complete trade receivable, which is of 6,788 crore. So if you go into the details of this inventory, which is point 11, which highlights all the inventories which are residing inside the warehouse of Adani Enterprises for all the different companies. So inventory का simple definition ये है, कोई भी product, हम हिंदी में कहते हैं कि गोडाउन में इतना सामान पड़ा हुआ है. So that सामान, that inventory, that material is what is referred to over here as inventory. Now this inventory amount which is specified over here of 6788 crore, that's not the quantity, that's an amount. That means Adani Enterprises is currently having an inventory stock of 6,788 crore in their warehouses spread across India and globally. So they have again categorized this in different particulars, such as we have some items as a raw material, unfinished items, some as work in progress. Now what is work in progress? कोई भी raw material, ideal manufacturing process अगर हम देखेंगे business में, एक raw material होता है, there is a manufacturing process which is involved and you have finished good thereafter. So this raw material 239 is the raw material part over here. Then you have work in progress जो already manufacturing activity में जा चुका है. That's called as work in progress, and you have a finished good. That's what is referring over here, raw material, work in progress, and as well as a finished good. And then there are some spare parts for stores and elements. That's what is referring to over here. Now Inside this finished good, you see there is one note over here which highlights that there is certain amount worth of goods which are in transit. Now कैसा होता है इंटरनेशनल शिपमेंट में when products are supplied to external overseas clients and overseas customers, काफ़ी टाइम लगता है. इट्स नॉट कि आज बेच दिया और सेकेंड डे द गुड गेट्स डिलीवर्ड. इट टेक्स कपल ऑफ मंथ्स डिपेंडिंग अपॉन अ मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट. कोई लैंड से जाता है, कोई सी से जाता है, कोई एयर फ्रेट से जाता है. सो वेन एवर द गुड्स आर मूव्ड आउट ऑफ द वेयर हाउस ऑफ अडानी from this warehouse and it is in transport, that in transit is termed over here as goods in transit. That means out of this 584 crore, somewhere around 2400 roughly crore of goods are in transit at the moment, neither with the godown, neither with the warehouse with Adani Enterprises, nor it is with the client. That's what this in transit refers to. So to summarize upon this video, what we have learned today is about current assets section. There is one thing that I want you to take away from this video is any asset which can be liquidified within 1 year of time period falls under this current assets section. These learning materials about interpreting and understanding the balance sheet the way we have undergone today to the depth and going into the details, these are not free. There are paid courses available, but I'm trying my best that I make videos on all of those possible information for free for you on this YouTube channel of mine. So do consider subscribing because that helps me out in understanding that my content is making sense, my content is helping you out in some or the other way. So do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that next time when I upload the next video where we'll cover about the next follow-up sections of the balance sheet and the other financial statements, you get notified. This is Ajinkya signing off. See you in the next video. Good luck, guys.